Imagine this for a second. You're sitting peacefully in your little village. Life is simple. Maybe you're worried about the next harvest or what your neighbor's goat is up to. Then, out of nowhere, bam! Men with spears and guns show up, tie you up like a sack of yams, and drag you off because, guess what? You've suddenly become prime merchandise. Yes, congratulations, you are now livestock. And no, you don't even get a ribbon for it.
Huh? What?
What if I told you that this nightmare was the reality for millions of Africans? And the worst part, we, Africans, played a big role in making it happen. Today, I'm diving into a book that doesn't sugarcoat this horror. It peels the bandage off the wound and shows us every festering detail. Buckle up, because this is going to be intense. So, let me tell you the story. Our main character starts as Nandzi, a young Bekpokpam girl. Life is normal until it isn't. Because here come the Bedagbam slave hunters, and they are not here for tea and biscuits. They raid her village, tie people up, and off they go like a Black Friday shopping spree. Except this time, the goods are human beings. And Nandzi? She's in the cart. Why? Well, apparently her people owed some serious taxes to the Asante king. So what better way to pay your debt than with human beings, right? Because money is overrated. Hundreds of them were rounded up to settle this annual tax. And just like that, Nandzi starts her journey into the darkness.
It's a bad dream.
From her home, they march her to Yendi and then on to Kumasi, the grand capital of the Asante kingdom. And let me tell you, if she thought life was going to improve in Kumasi, she was dead wrong. She becomes a servant girl to none other than the Asante Hima, the queen mother herself. And as if losing her freedom wasn't enough, they rename her. Nandzi becomes Ama, because apparently when you're a slave, your name doesn't matter anymore. But then, plot twist. The young king Osei Kwadwo falls in love with her. Oh yes, your typical royal romance, right? Except, wrong. The kingdom can't have that kind of scandal, so what do? They sell her off, just like that. Bye-bye, Ama. Hello, slave traders at the coast.
Why do you keep doing this?
And this, my friends, is how the story widens. It's no longer just about one girl. It's about an entire system. The book throws us deep into the gritty reality of the internal slave trade. Ama wasn't just a victim of Europeans. First, she was a victim of her own people. If it wasn't for her poor judgment with the young king, she might have remained an internal slave forever. Lucky her.
What contest in hell did I win?
But it gets darker. Let me paint a picture for you. Heads rolling. Yes, literally. Manu Herbstein doesn't shy away from the grotesque traditions of the time. When a king dies, guess what happens? People, mostly non-royals, are beheaded so they can serve him in the afterlife. Imagine that HR policy. Oh, the king is dead? Congratulations, you're promoted to a headless servant in the spirit world.
Say what?
Now, the book doesn't stop at traditions. It shows the deep rot of complicity. Chiefs and elders weren't innocent bystanders. They didn't just clap as people were taken. They funded the trade, supplied captives, and even fought to keep the business booming. And why? For mirrors, schnapps, and shiny clothes. Luxury, baby. Aikwe Arma once called such chiefs ostentatious cripples, and oh, does this book prove him right? And then there's Augusta, a black woman neck-deep in the trade. Because, patriarchy isn't the only villain here. Greed is gender-neutral. She buys and sells slaves like handbags. No mercy.
Kill the wounded.
But let's talk about one of the most heartbreaking arcs, Tomba. Son of an escapee and a rescued woman, Tomba grows up hating the slave trade. He dedicates his life to freeing others, even creating a village of liberated slaves. Noble, right? He even attacks slave ships, making life miserable for the traders. For a moment, you're cheering for him. Finally, a hero. And then betrayal happens. His own people, tired of losing their precious business, team up with a European captain. Tomba and his men, captured, sold, just like the people they fought to free. The irony burns. Meanwhile, Ama's journey spirals into nightmare after nightmare. The dungeons where they kept the captives? Hell on earth. Disease, stench, rape. The book doesn't spare us. Ama herself? She suffers repeated assaults. Abdulai, the leader of her captors. Akwasi Anane, the drunk Asante guard. Then Jensen, the new mean here after Debruyn dies. And Jesus Vasconcelos in Brazil. The list is long and each name feels like a scar. But there are also complicated relationships. Take Debruyn. He takes her in, calls her Pamela, teaches her to read, write, and even proposes marriage. For a moment you wonder, is this love or just another form of bondage? But before you figure it out, he dies suddenly. Because of course he does.
Are you kidding me?
Later, there's Captain David Williams. With him, Amma dreams of escape. Spoiler, it doesn't go as planned. Why? Language. When Amma tries to free the slaves on the ship, everyone speaks a different tongue. Chaos erupts. The plan fails. The punishment? Brutal. Some die and are fed to sharks. Amma loses an eye when a whip's hook tears it out. Just imagine that scene. By the time she reaches Brazil, she's broken but still standing. And here, finally, there's a sense of solidarity. Because now they share a common language, Portuguese. But even then, unity is fragile. Old habits die hard.
Tell me how!
Because, disunity was honestly one of the biggest killers in this book. Language differences, tribal suspicion, jealousy, betrayal, it's all there. People seeking favor from masters, mulattoes looking down on full-blooded Africans, earlier slaves mocking the new arrivals. Even in chains, we just couldn't unite. One quote hits hard.
Don't call me brother, woman. I'm not an unseasoned giny bird like you. Now stand in line so that master can look at you properly.
Sound familiar? Today we might not be in chains, but the mindset? Yeah, it's still around. And then there's this gem.
Me brony, said another to a young seaman. Wo ho yefise anoma, meaning, my precious white man, you are as beautiful as a bird.
Even in bondage, we were fawning. Manu doesn't just tell a story, he holds up a mirror. The obsession with whiteness, the cultural inferiority, it all started here. And Christianity? Oh, the irony. The same religion that preached love and forgiveness was neck-deep in the trade. Priests telling blacks to be meek while blessing the ships carrying human cargo. Amma herself sees the contradiction.
As we forgive those who trespassed against us.
Forgive who? The man with the whip? Let the weight settle. At this point, you're wondering, what book is this? This is Amma, a story of the Atlantic slave trade by Manu Herbstein. It's a 374-page punch to the gut that won the Commonwealth Writers' Prize for Best First Book back in 2002. This book is heavy. It doesn't romanticize Africa's past. It shows our complicity. It forces you to confront uncomfortable truths. Would the slave trade have ended if Europe hadn't banned it? Did Africans ever truly think it was wrong? Manu's research is phenomenal. The language is rich, sprinkled with African proverbs and folklore. It feels authentic, alive. The historical details from Elmina Castle to the slave ships are vivid and horrifying. And yes, there's even a love subplot, though parts felt dramatic, like Amma fainting when she saw Tomba again. But if you ask me, every African should read this book, not just for the history, but for the lessons. Disunity, greed, inferiority, these chains still bind us today, even without iron shackles. Manu Herbstein isn't just a writer. He's a civil and structural engineer, born in Muizenberg, South Africa in 1936. His grandparents were Jewish immigrants from Russia and Romania. He's lived in England, Nigeria, India, Zambia, Scotland, and now Ghana. His first visit to Elmina Castle was in 1961, and he says it still moves him every time. This book is his labor of love and pain. If you've ever thought you understood the Atlantic slave trade, think again. This book will change how you see history and yourself. So, are you ready to face the truth? Hey, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you're interested in diving deeper into this book, I've left some links down in the description. You can use it to grab yourself a copy and keep the adventure going. And if you're in the mood for more great reads, don't go just yet. Click on one of the videos popping up right now that I think you'll love. And don't forget to give this review a like, leave a comment, or even subscribe if you'd like to see more. Every bit of support helps us grow this little community of book lovers. See you in the next one.